When I think back over the years, I've grown hundreds of plants. And when I also think about it, there's 5 plants that I really regret growing, just based on my experiences with them. Today, I'm going to give you the top 5 plants I regret growing and why I regretted growing them. Let's dive into it. Hello and welcome to Sproutlogic Gardening. So I want to preface before we dive into the list to say that this is not in any particular order, that the worst one's number 1 or number 5. And I want to also say that it doesn't mean these plants are bad. I want to take a moment and as we go through each plant, I'll explain to you why exactly they ended up on this list. So without further ado, let's go to the first plant. So for my long-term viewers, this spot in particular should be no surprise whatsoever. My first plant I regret growing, hybrid tea roses. Now inherently there's nothing wrong with them. Super fragrant, they flower all the time, usually easy to grow, and they're really strong and stand up in most climates, except for mine. So I'm in zone 7B/8A, and unfortunately where I live, they just don't do well. They're consistently plagued with mildew, mold, aphids, black spot, and they really struggle to perform here. It's a learning experience for me. I should have never actually grown them here if I did my proper research. And so for me, it ends up at number 1 on my list. Not meaning it's the worst one, it's just the first one I'm starting at here. I think that in any other climate, especially cooler ones or less humid, it would do really well. Here, it just doesn't really make the cut, unfortunately. So let's go take a look at the next plant on the list. Okay, so the next plant on my list, it's not even in my garden anymore, and for good reason. Carolina Reaper peppers takes the number 2 spot for me. So why are they on my list at all? About 3 years ago, I decided I'm going to start growing peppers. I love spicy food. So I went ahead and gave it a shot. I planted 4 of these. Huge mistake. For any of you that don't know, Carolina Reaper peppers, I believe, are the 3rd hottest pepper in the world. They might be the 4th. Still ridiculously hot. A little bit goes a long way. Well, I had a great season. In fact, it was probably the craziest season I think anyone probably could have had with them. Those 4 plants produced pounds of peppers. I'm going to say it again, pounds of peppers. I had mountains of Carolina Reaper peppers. I had way too much to use. I ended up giving them away, and they're so spicy that you really can't do much with them to begin with. Again, a little bit goes a long way. So lesson learned for me, way too hot, number 1. Number 2, they produce a ton, so a little bit goes a long way. Again, 1 plant would have been more than enough. I had 4. And also, by the way, they grow really large. I'm talking like a mini shrub bush for the most part, which is crazy when you think about it. So unfortunately I ended up on this list because, well, I failed to do my research. I should have thought about it a little bit more. And while they grow really well here, it's just way too much. So let's dive into the next plant. Okay, so number 3 on the list is actually the most disappointing one of all for me. My peach tree. So this particular variety actually doesn't need to have multiple trees to pollinate, which in theory should be great. My experience with it, I've invested 2 years and I have 2 fruits on it. I started off the season with probably about 10, 15. Most fell off, most were really poor. And unfortunately, I don't think these 2 fruits are going to make it either. So long story short, huge investment in time, 2 years for basically nothing. And the more research I started doing, this doesn't really do well in my climate. Where I live in this particular area, the high humidity, the heat, the huge variation in temperatures depending on the season, it's not meant for that. It needs stable, steady, warm, and sun. And so I'm not able to provide it that, and this is what I get. Now I'm going to let it do its thing. It's going to continue to grow in my garden with the understanding that I shouldn't be expecting peaches anytime soon. So let's go look at number 4. Okay, number 4, raspberries in the ground. I regret growing them in the ground. Why? Once you put them in the ground, you just can't get rid of them, and they pop up all over the yard. Now forgive the horrible netting job behind me, but this is the one I planted earlier on in a different video that's actually growing in a pot. So it's doing really well. Actually, nice and happy, have it protected from the birds and stuff, so I'm actually able to get some raspberries out of it, and it's easy. I don't have to worry about it spreading everywhere. Compared to the others that I had throughout the backyard, they continue to come up. Years after getting rid of them, they're still coming up in the yard. In fact, one of them I just gave up. It was a blackberry bush, and I said, fine, come back. I'm done fighting you. You come up every other day. So I'm gonna let that come back. It's a thornless variety. It's pretty big. I'm gonna try to keep it trim, but I will say if you're gonna plant raspberries, do yourself a favor, or blackberries. Find varieties that'll go into a container, plant them in a container, and you won't have to worry about chasing them the rest of your life. So let's go look at the last plant on this list. So we've come full circle. Number 5 on my list is tulips. More specifically, the ones that only last 1 year. So behind me is the wildflower garden, I like to call it, or the bed. I basically have all kinds of different things in here, including tulips, daffodils, and things like that. Well, the tulips that I've been planting for years, I didn't know this or understand. There's different types. There's some that grow back every year, and there's some that only grow 1 year. I picked the ones that only grow 1 year. So every year, in wintertime or usually late fall, I'm out here digging in this clay soil, planting these bulbs. They come up. Next year, they don't come up. And I'm going, what's happening? And I just repeat this cycle, and it's finally clicked as of recently. I started doing more research that the varieties I was picking only come up once a year, and that's it. They don't come back. They won't come back the following year. So the lesson learned for me, the things that I picked, the tulips in particular, I'm gonna pick some that keep coming back every single year, so I don't have to keep sitting out here in the fall, digging up this hard clay, trying to figure it out. But listening to all these different types of plants, you're hearing kind of the same thing. Lack of research, bad environment. These aren't bad plants. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not right for either what I'm looking for and or my environment, which is the biggest thing I will say. My environment, my climate is a huge challenge. And I bet other gardeners are facing the same thing. And as climates continue to change across the globe, what we're probably experiencing is more and more of this. Certain things we could never dream of growing, we can now grow. Things that would do well in our areas are not doing so well anymore because of the climate. So the ultimate lesson I have for you here is make sure just do your research, make sure you understand what you're growing and understand what the expectations are and what the plant can actually do for you. I hope this video is helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, we'll see you on the next video. Take it easy.